a vessel, but then I'm running this shit, it ain't healthy. You gotta move stealthy. Niggas been rich, now we tryna get wealthy. Every time that you write, you keep taking it down. Tell me how this gon' help me. All stars got a gang God on my phone. Run through all the cars, you get a finesse and then it's gone. We the young nigga that grabbing the pistol and ready to be with the phone. Grab it, say he won't smoke it, you know it's no problem, no Gabriel, bringing it on. Bring it. All blue dollar signs, beating my phone.
Mic check, coming in live. I just want to make sure we are live and you can hear the mic good. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys can hear me loud and clear. And then we'll go ahead and begin the show. Put a 1 in the chat for everyone that's watching. Just want to make sure I'm coming in clear. Can you guys hear me? The global spinner puts a 1. Any Aussie? Okay, cool. All right, welcome to the live. We got Passport Graffiti backstage. I will bring them up in a second. If you guys are new to the channel, go ahead and hit the like for me, subscribe. I'm currently being reviewed by YouTube to be remonetized. I don't know why it's taking this long, But hopefully within a couple of weeks, I'll be remonetized and I'm going to push out more content. But in the meantime, I'm still here. At least you're going to get a live stream or a vlog every week. Got another vlog coming. Just finished the final edits. So stay tuned for that. You guys are going to like that. Spending time with my girl, going out to different places in Guadalajara. And just giving you guys a perspective of having a girlfriend overseas. I know there's not too many channels showing that, but this is one of the channels, okay? And I met my girlfriend in Mexico, but you guys can meet girls anywhere in Latin America, Panama, Mexico, El Salvador, Colombia, Argentina, Brazil. But it's nothing new that I've been preaching. You can't be a lame in the States and expect to be a Superman in another country. It's just not going to happen. So I'm going to go through the chats, and then we're going to bring on the guest. Shout out to Educated Tyrone, True Prodigy's channel. Got remonetized pretty quick. Yours is next. Yeah, like I said, it's just YouTube. 1 minute they like you, 1 minute they don't, and they can pull the plug any minute. Shout out to Army Guys Travels. Salute to you. Definitely want you back on the channel soon for an interview. Appreciate you for watching, supporting. Shout out to Jay Clyde, another Medellin vet. I see you, man. On the ground, doing your thing. Keep it up. Definitely respect you and your travel knowledge. And one of these days when I have an open panel, would like you to hop on to express that. The Globe Spinner, shout out to you. Definitely. Make sure you guys sub to Passport Graffiti's channel. He's working on getting monetized. So help him out. Help me out. Appreciate it. This is very good. No carbs, no sugars. QB has been doing a lot of good stuff. I've been fasting. I just finished a 72-hour fast, and I honestly feel good. I think I might do another one soon, but my skin feels a lot better going no sugar. My girl's like, hey, I don't want to drink until it's my birthday in April. We might do a special trip at a resort in Cartagena that I had a sick deal. Very, very cheap. So stay tuned for that. And if I go to Cartagena, definitely will vlog it out. But without further ado, let me go ahead and bring up my guest, Passport Graffiti. What is good, man? Appreciate you coming through.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you having me.
So go ahead and give yourself an intro to the audience. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your channel. The floor is yours.
What's good, everyone? I go by Passport Graffiti. I am from the United States, originally from California. Born and raised in San Francisco, lived a little bit in LA for a bit before moving to Miami, where there I started a Airbnb business and then eventually end up moving here to Medellin, Colombia in 2024.
Nice. So appreciate that. Make sure you guys sub to the channel. First question I have for you. Did you started traveling before you settled in Medellin? Like, did you travel to other places in Latin America before you made Medellin your home, or was Medellin your home as soon as you got there?
No. So the first place that I actually traveled to was Brazil. That was my first international experience, was living in Rio for 3 months. This was back in 2013. So I lived there for 3 months and then ended up going back to Miami. At the time I was living in Miami, I had a small promotion business there with all the nightclubs. So I did a lot
Okay.
of stuff with Nightlife in Miami and South Beach back in those days when it was actually still fun to go to Miami. Um, but from there, no, I ended up going to after that Germany, Spain, the
Oh,
UK,
okay.
Amsterdam, Sweden, Mexico. I've been all over, so I've definitely did a bit of traveling before actually settling here in Medellin.
Got it. So the big question, since you traveled through a lot of different places, definitely unique places, by the way, what made you want to basically have your operation in Medellin, Colombia, or settle there?
Okay, so just to give a little context, I first came to Medellin in December of 2023, right?
Okay.
So at the time, the exchange was probably at the highest it's ever been, and this was my first time to Medellin or to Colombia as a whole. I want to say the exchange was like around five. So right now is somewhere around. It's almost, I would say, close to four right now.
Okay.
So at five, if you came here in like December 2023 or going into the early parts of 2024, everything was super cheap here. And this was my first time actually coming to Medellin. I was here for about 5, maybe 6 days. And in that
Okay.
time, I actually really fell in love with Medellin, just the city and the little parts that I saw. So what happened after that is I started coming in 2024 to Medellin. I would say the first time or the next time I came back was probably 3, 4 months later, but I stayed for a month. And in that
Okay.
month, what I did is, or before that, I had a couple options. It was go to Argentina or go to back to Colombia. So I decided to come back to Colombia and I said, all right, I want to start taking Spanish classes because I literally knew no Spanish at all. And, I wanted to essentially learn Spanish. And here I've heard in Medellin that they speak, I wouldn't say proper Spanish, but they speak much clearer Spanish and it's easier for you to kind of hear and be able to make out. Versus if you're going to a place like DR or the coast of Colombia, Spanish can be much more faster. They break it up, they speak more slang, so it can be a lot harder to learn. So
Right.
for that month, it was kind of like a investigation period. I took Spanish classes, and in that time, I really fell more in love with the city and generally the people. And then I ended up going back to Miami. And then once I got back to Miami, I was like, man, this is it's like night and day. I enjoy my life here, or at the time, I enjoy my life more in Colombia, just more active as far as
Hmm.
socially, more things to do. I was living a much healthier lifestyle as far as eating and exercising. Not that I didn't exercise and go to the gym in the States, but definitely did. And then as far as dating, at the time I was still, super new, but still had way more options here in Colombia or in Medellin than I did in the States. Not that I didn't do well. I had a amazing lifestyle in Miami as far as, I own a few Airbnbs, so I had multiple houses to go to when I wanted to, if they weren't occupied or booked. I had
Uh-huh.
a nice car. I had a good social life. I got girls in the States as well, or, in Miami. So it wasn't like it was one of those things where, oh, well, I'm not getting women here. I need to go to another country to go get women. It was just um, the dating experience was a lot more pleasant, I would say, here. You didn't get stupid excuses like here, like you would in the States, like, oh, you have an Android phone, which I've gotten. It's
Wow.
stupid, and there's probably some guys probably laughing if you've gotten this before, but it's like a girl won't date you because of the type of phone you have, or like I'm about 5'8", 5'9", dealing with the height discrimination and all that. Like
Um,
here, all of that wasn't, these weren't factors in whether a woman thinks you're a good guy or not. It was just, hey, you're a good looking guy. Yeah, you may be a foreigner, but they're still interested in getting to know you. Versus, like I said, you got to deal with all the hurdles you got to deal with dating in the US. So
Got it.
after that month, basically I went back to the States, worked for a bit, but in the back of my mind, it was always, I need to figure out a way to get back to Medellin or get back to Colombia. So a few months later, I would say probably about 3 months later, it was around like July or something like that, I came back again and stayed for another month. Because what happened with me was around towards the tail end of that first month that I stayed, I started feeling like I was just starting to get my traction and just starting to kind of get used to everything and get a feel, for not only the city, but just how things work here in Medellin and stuff. So I came back for another month. This month, I figured, all right, I'm not going to take any Spanish classes. I just want to see how well I can actually live and survive without much Spanish. How much can I learn or pick up or comprehend? After just taking that 1 month of Spanish classes. And my Spanish classes, by the way, were Monday through Friday, privates, 1 hour a day.
Nice.
So
okay, so let me ask you this question: how was your dating experience in Miami as compared to Medellin? I know it's going to be drastically different. I haven't been to Miami in 15 years. So kind of educate us of what is it like out there as in comparison to Medellin.
So Miami is it's a very superficial city. In the United States, I would say LA and Miami are considered two of the top worst dating markets. So that should already give you an idea as it is. You have to very much, I would say, appear as if you have a lot, or you have to be coming to the table with a lot to even compete. And the shitty part about it is that there's just so much money condensed in one small area, which is, South Florida for the most part. I
Right.
don't even say all of South Florida, but just from like, I would say Fort Lauderdale down to maybe Doral or a little bit further, Coral Gables. In this area, you have so much money, that's just consolidated in that area, or people who have money. So, the competition is very steep. Everybody's, trying to be an influencer or act like they got money. And not saying you can't find, good women in Miami, because you can. I always say the great thing about Miami is it's so close to the USA and to the States. Is like a joke because there's so many Latin people in Miami. So, you can, and I did this when I was there in 2013 before I went back to LA temporarily. You can pretty much date women from all over the world without really having to go to other parts of the country, because they all pretty much come there. But the downside of it is that you have so many guys there that lead with money that it kind of ruins the market in general. But as far as dating there goes, I did okay, but I wasn't pulling any nines or tens, and this is just me being brutally honest. I would get the girls who are like a 6, a 7, something like that, but nothing to really write home about. I did okay, but wasn't nothing compared to the possibilities here in Medellin.
Okay. Gotcha. Sorry about this. Somebody's hitting me up, and I'm like, dude, I'm live streaming right now. Like, and he has a YouTube, man. It's okay. Don't. Later, we'll talk about that later. Anyway, so in your opinion, so you went to Medellin, if I recall right now, in 2013. That was the first time you went there?
Yeah, in December 2013, and basically by December of 2024, I moved here. So within a year.
So within basically 10 years, has Medellin changed for the better or for the worse?
So it would be within a year. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say within that year, I would say it's definitely become a little bit more commercialized. And what I mean by that is that when I do go out, I definitely do see more of the Pookies and the Ray Rays here, or the passport Pookies and Ray Rays. You're starting to see a lot more ghetto people come here. And
Mm-hmm.
once I started seeing that, I definitely knew that it's definitely got commercialized. And also, once you start seeing like old white families, it's you can pretty
Ooh.
much say, okay, yeah, it's pretty commercial. Like Medellin is essentially at the state of like a Cancun or a Tulum or something. There's
Mm-hmm.
no beach.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much that commercialized now.
Now, with the influx of Pookies, and let's address that to the audience, mainly kind of like your thuggish type of, African American type dude. Um, what has been the experience like going out to bars and nightclubs? Do they concentrate basically in one area, or you see them everywhere throughout Medellin?
No, I mean they're not here in like major numbers, but they do
Mm-hmm.
primarily concentrate in just Parquejetes and in the
Okay.
area where all the working girls are. This is pretty much where you're going to find them, and it's also because they cater more to those not necessarily those type of people, but they're catering more to foreigners or Americans because they're going to play the hip hop music, they're going to play
Mm-hmm.
American music. And usually once when we go there, I'm saying when we as black men or Americans, we want to hear our music because we may not understand Spanish, we don't understand reggaeton, we want to feel a little bit comfortable. So yeah, they cater more to that, and that's where they tend to hang out more. So generally you'll see them in that Provenza / Parque Jettis area for sure. Not sure we lost them. Yeah, I think we might have lost. He might have lost connection. So I'm gonna just continue. So basically, I decided to move to Medellin. I want to say by the tail end of December of 2020. Uh, I'll say 2023. Just because after coming back a couple more times and having an investigation period, I decided, yeah, definitely is the type of place for me as far as what the city has to offer, the people,
I'm
and
back.
everything. You're back. We lost you for a minute. So I was just
Yeah.
saying that I decided to move to Medellin because of what overall the city had to offer. I really enjoyed the
Mm-hmm.
people, the weather. As I said to you before, there's no real natural disasters here. They do have earthquakes here in Colombia, but as far as Medellin, it's not on any fault line. So you may feel like a little bit of aftershock, like a very light tremor, but generally
Mm-hmm.
most of the earthquakes that have happened in the night. So most people are usually asleep when they happen, and you don't really feel anything. I do enjoy the food. The food isn't as good as Argentina or Peru or
Right.
somewhere else, but
Right.
I do enjoy it, and that was
Okay.
the main reasons why I decided to move to Medellin. Not so much for dating.
And we're gonna get to that just in a second. So you have I wouldn't call it a controversial video, but you really shared your perspectives in dating in Medellin, and you have the video, The Cons of Dating in Medellin. Can you quickly elaborate to the audience regarding that video?
Yeah, basically, I was just talking about some of the cons. It's unfortunate, but I always say, like, I feel us as content creators, yeah, it's our job to kind of share the good about wherever we're living or staying, but it's also our responsibility to share the bad as well. And I feel like,
Mhm.
unfortunately, a lot of YouTubers just don't really talk about that as much unless it's involving safety. Then it's
Right.
covered, it's oversaturated, covered with that, but not just the bad parts of the stuff you have to deal with as far as dating and just flakiness and all the other 100 things that come with just as far as cons of dating in a specific location, but here especially, there's a lot of them.
Okay. Break that down for us really quick.
The cons?
Yes.
Okay. So, if you've never been to Medellin before, and I'm not even going to just say Medellin, I'm going to say Colombia as a whole because it's a Colombia problem. It's not just a Medellin problem, but the biggest one is definitely flakiness. We all deal with it. It don't matter what race you are. You could be white, green, yellow. Women here are just naturally flaky. There's been plenty of times I've had dates set up where, I've had 3 dates set up because here generally you want to have a plan A, B, and C because more than likely A is going to flake on you. So at least you have, a couple more girls to fall back on just in case, A flakes. There's the very rare occasion that you may set 2 dates up and both don't flake. Then you just have to do the, Colombian thing and just flake on one of them, whichever one you're not as much into. But flaking, huge problem here. Second one, if you are not someone who is into dating women with children, I believe when I looked up the number, there's something about or around 80% of the women here in not only Medellin, but just Colombia are single moms. So if you're not the type of dude that want to raise another man's kid or support someone else's kid, it's going to be really hard for you to date here. And I will admit, some of the women here, some of these single moms are so bad, it's going to make you consider wanting to be a stepdad. But it's definitely something I'm not into. I didn't date single moms back in the States, and I definitely didn't come all the way down here to another country to start. So it does make navigating the dating market a little bit more difficult, but there's still a lot more women here who don't have kids. So they are definitely it's possible to find them. So I would say the next con here, and this probably is just a Latin America thing, not necessarily just Colombia or Medellin, is that the women are extremely jealous. So if you are not able to deal with jealousy, and the women out here, they are like, I would say, they're like cyber forensic, experts when it comes to scouring social media and going through stuff to try to find out, things about you or what you're doing. So that is a con here. If it's something that you don't feel you can handle or don't want to deal with, it's definitely going to be hard for you to date, not only in Latin America, but especially here in Colombia. So I would say the next thing here, it can be a pro or a con, but I definitely consider as a con is that women aren't direct here as you would experience in the States. Like say, hey, you go to cold approach a girl or you're at a club, you go to talk to them and, they're not interested. They're just going to be like, hey, I'm not interested. I have a boyfriend. Women here, and especially Medellin, they're not very direct. In general, Colombian women just don't like saying no. So, when you go to talk to them, they'll be like, oh, hey, yeah, they'll give you the time of day, but they'll exchange numbers with you. And then when you go to text them, they just either don't respond or they'll respond a little bit and then just ghost you, so it's something you have to deal with here. The other thing is that a lot of women here aren't very honest about if they have a boyfriend or not. So you may talk to a girl and, everything is going good. You go to hit her up and then she's like, oh, hey, I have finally at some point she may say, oh yeah, I have a boyfriend, but it wasn't something that she said initially. I'll give you a perfect example. So I was at the gym, fine, like bad, like baddie at the gym. So I approach her, talk to her.
9, 10, what are we talking about?
I'm kind of strict on my ratings. 10 is like supermodel, like international travel and you getting paid for your look. So I say she was probably like an 8.5 border, like pushing a 9.
Okay.
And so I approached her at the gym, talked to her. We exchanged Instagrams and we exchanged numbers, hit her up, no response. And I'm like, what's the point of that? We both work out at the same gym. we gonna see each other again? You could have just said you weren't interested, and I would have been like, all right, cool, and I would have kept it moving. But she didn't. So maybe a week or so later, I'm walking in the gym and she's hugged up on a dude, which was her man. So it's like, or you could have just been like, hey, I got a boyfriend, but I appreciate it, whatever, like she didn't. It could have been handled a different way, but this is the very common scenario you'll get with Colombian women, but definitely paisas, is they're not very forthcoming with information. Like you got to almost pull it out of them, essentially, as far as they have a boyfriend or something like that. So that's another con. I'm going to say as well here. I mean, a lot of people are probably familiar with this. Is that you get a lot of women here that ask you for money.
Yes.
That's not uncommon here. Whether it's money for
So,
the
how have you dealt with that really quick? The women asking you for money.
So what I've learned is usually on the first date when they're asking me like, "Oh, you're very handsome, whatever. Why are you single?" And I'll say, I just haven't found the right chemistry or whatever. And then what I like to generally do is take the bullets out of the gun before they even get a chance to shoot them. So I'll basically say like, "Oh, I'm also single because, most of the women I've met, they've asked me for money, So then it's kind of throwing it out there so they'll know like, oh shit, I'm not going to be able to ask them for money because more than likely I ain't going to get nothing, So there still have been some who will try, because they're all going to try to see if they can, not all, but there's a good amount that will try to see if they can get it. But that's usually what I do is I'll throw that out there early in the first date. And generally usually when I do that, I don't get them asking.
Okay, good. Now, a couple of people in the audience kind of ask, where are you meeting these women? Is it Parquietas or other places in town? Cold approach, dating app, social circle? Break that down for us.
So it's a mixture of a few things. So one is cold approach. Although I have found here in Medellin that the return on investment isn't that great. The leads don't usually, turn out as well. Like I said, you'll go approach somebody, get a number, and they just won't respond. Or you'll get a number, they may message back and forth a little bit, and then it fizzles out, and they don't respond. Or I've done some cold approach, and they just been straight up like, "Oh, I'm married," or "I have a boyfriend." Some will say it. So that doesn't have the biggest return on investment. I don't go to Parque Jettis at all. I can't stand Parque Jettis.
Okay.
Explain
that for us, please.
I'm just not a pay-for-play guy. And don't get me wrong, you're gonna see some of the baddest women there, but they're all there for one thing. And for me, let's just say a woman is charging $150 an hour, and which I've heard from other people, the prices have gone up. I'd rather spend that money. Like I could spend $50 to maybe $70 and go fly to another part of Colombia, like Santa Marta or Barranquilla, or I could spend that money and go to Pereira, Manizales, or Cali, or some other part, or even just use that money towards traveling to another country, not necessarily wasting it. Because I mean, let's keep it real. Like, yeah, they're charging you for the hour, but realistically, sex ain't gonna last for an hour. Maybe for some guys, but for most of us, it ain't lasting an hour. So I'd just rather put that money towards something a little bit more productive, or something I'm gonna actually remember versus wasting it there. And then also too, it's just the general crowd that goes there. I don't want to be affiliated and associated with those type of foreigners that go there. So for me, I'd prefer to go to La Setenta, which is another area where you can find a lot of bars and clubs and partings, and it's a lot more of an authentic Colombian experience than going to Provenza or Parque Jettis. Because I mean, don't get me wrong, a lot of local Colombians party in Provenza, even though Parque Jettis is like an 8-minute walk away, not even, it's still very Colombian, but you just still have a lot of foreigners mixed in with that. So I prefer to stay towards La Sentinta, or I'll go to like Sabaneta or Envigado, to bars and stuff out there where it's just more locals. Even recently, I
Okay.
started going to Calle 45, which is in Manrique. It's a little bit further north. So that's another area kind of similar to La Sentinta or Provenza, where it's just a bunch of bars and stuff. And you're going to meet more locals and more normal, so-called girls, um, than you would if you're just staying in that general El Poblado, Provenza,
Mhm.
Parque Bettis area. But
I just want to say something really quick. Shout out to Black Man's Travel. Appreciate you. He has receipts. His receipts, if you watch the trailer before the live, I mean, it was all girls that he was interacting with. So I'm just letting you know that. Now, let me ask you this, and this is very, very important. Do women in Medellin specifically, do you feel that they have a preference towards white men or black men or other men of different ethnicities? What have you experienced there?
that's a good question. It's almost a question like, oh, are they racist, or do they prefer
Mm-hmm.
white over black, whatever. So I'm going to say this: there's colorism everywhere you go, right?
Right.
Light prefers light. It's just kind of the way it's been kind of indoctrinated into, I would say, almost all cultures. But I do want to say this, that the whole racism argument, I believe, is sort of a cop out because, okay, so I'll say this: we are creatures of comfort, and we do tend to try to stick with what makes us comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So, will some Colombian women maybe want to date, let's say, Colombian guys, or you want to date someone within your culture because it's familiar? Sure. But also, I feel like we use that as an excuse to not compete. Like, for example, when I was in the States, or when I was younger, I would date a lot of girls who'd be like, "Oh, you're the first black guy I dated," you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that they won't date outside. I will say there may be some that prefer, or that's their preference, white men over, anything else. But that goes into a whole nother conversation of just maybe white men trick more than black men do. They tend to be more simps than black men do. But then also here in Medellin, there's a lot of Afro Colombians. So
Right.
as black men, we blend in. We can pass for Afro Colombian until we speak. So that's also another part of it as well. But I wouldn't say that all of them, they necessarily
Mm-hmm.
prefer white men over any other race, because I've seen some good looking um, Colombian women with Jewish, or I've seen them with Asian. I've seen some with Indian. There may be a few exceptions to the rules, but I think we try to use that as an excuse, to not actually go and compete and try to talk to these women.
Right. Now, what has been your experience or the type what is your preference when it comes to dating women in Colombia or in general?
Preference as in what?
Do you have a preference towards race or is it physical features or both?
Um, I would say it's a little bit of everything. I don't really have a strong preference. I do
Okay.
tend to be a little bit more attracted to the lighter paisas. But the girl I'm dating right now, she's morena. She's more brown skin. So yeah, definitely no. I don't have a specific preference as far as body though. No, yeah, of course I need a girl that got some curves. I can't do the like skinny paisa chick or skinny
Okay.
Colombian girl, which, for the white man, that's also a thing too, is that, maybe that's why when brothers come out here, we tend to want to go more towards the thicker women that have curves in the body, and the white men tend to like the, petite, women with, no, kind of like no ass and no boobs, you know. So that
Right.
just might also be a natural thing of it too, is that you it's just what approaches you, or as far as the women, what approaches them more.
Okay. Got it. Now, would you say, in your honest opinion, do you receive more interest from the Morenas or from the Paisa women?
I would say honestly, it's probably been
50-50?
50-50. Yeah. It's
Okay.
probably been about half and half. I can't say I've gotten more one than the other.
Okay. Now, this is very important. Where are the certain places in Medellin where guys can find women that are more natural looking, in your
I
honest
mean,
opinion?
okay,
And
so
the second part to this question, the women that have the surgeries, are they most likely to be a working girl?
um I wouldn't say.
Two-part question here.
Okay. So first part, where can men find women that are more natural looking?
Yes, and
Um,
the reason why I say that is the more natural looking girls tend to have good physical features and less tattoos. I notice the girls that are more the plastic type, they're trying to overcompensate for certain things in regards to body type.
so I'm going to say there's natural looking women all over Medellin.
Hmm.
Even, like you can find them. They just may not be the strikingly gorgeous. They may just be the fives, on the sixes, or the 4 5s and sixes. But there's tons of naturally looking women here. The unfortunate part about the tattoo thing is that it's become a part of like Medellin culture. So a lot of women here just unfortunately have hideous tattoos, or just a lot of
Hmm.
tattoos. I don't know why, but yeah, it's definitely a thing here. As far as the second part, it was, where can you find girls that didn't have surgeries, or
No,
what?
so the second part, if a girl has extensive surgery, so like the
Or they
boobs
likely to be a
done,
working girl?
right?
Okay.
Hmm.
So let me dive into this real quick. So just because a woman here in Colombia has surgeries, it does not mean that she's a working girl. As we were talking on WhatsApp the other day, I was saying that women here understand that looks are a huge thing, and that is where they're getting most of their opportunities from, is their looks. Because let's be honest,
Hmm.
most women do not have the skills to go pick up a guy. It's all looks based, because that's what attracts us first. So um, also too, it goes back into narco culture, which was here in Medellin, was big for a while, and now that's kind of just transferred over to gringo culture. But the narcos used to be the main ones that would be paying for everything for a lot of the women here. And women understood, like, hey, if you want to get a guy that's gonna, or attract a guy that's gonna support and take care of you, you have to look good. So naturally, at least here in Medellin, women aren't very curvy as far as, I would say, boobs. So you get a lot of girls here who have the boob jobs, because it's just part of the curves of the body.
Hmm.
So you'll see a lot of girls here with that, the veneers, like just teeth in general. Colombians are big on teeth, definitely here in Medellin. So you'll see a lot of veneers is very common here. The nose
Okay.
job, you'll see a lot. That's like it's almost like a socially like a flex, almost to say like, hey, I have the money to get this type of surgery. Because you'll see a lot of people walk around proudly with like the nose bandages and everything like that. You see girls will take pictures and post it on social media. That's how like proud
Mm.
they are of like the nose job or something like that. So it's more so of trying to make yourself look at as aesthetically good as possible, because the women here understand that opportunities come from your beauty, and that means travel. It means getting taken out to restaurants.
So really quick,
Yeah.
has because the change has been shifted to appeal to foreigners, have foreigners been more successful settling down or marrying, or is it still a transactional temporary relationship?
That I can't really tell you. So I have a few expat friends here. One of them is actually dating a Venezolana, in which he's actually about to propose to her
Oh, nice.
this,
Congrats.
this upcoming week, which I've been helping him with his proposal plans and everything. But she's Venezuelan. She's not paisa. And from what I've heard from other people as well is that, um, you know, paisas can be in general hard to deal with. I've met other, a couple other foreigners that have been dating paisa women, but I haven't, I don't really know as far as like settling down and getting married. There was one YouTuber I know, his name was like Where's Wes. He was married to a
Yes.
Colombian for a while,
Yes.
but ended up getting divorced and ended up moving to like Poland. But you know, I would say as far as expats go, I don't know enough to really give you the info on that.
Okay. No, that's fine. Now, this is another important question. I think guys have a hard fantasy of the beautiful women in Medellin, and they can just come as they are. Now, can they have a desirable, genuine relationship with these girls? Or would you say most likely is going to be a P2P transactional type of relationship if you don't self-improve on your appearance?
So I do want to say this because I kind of had this in my mind as well. More than likely, and a lot of guys probably aren't going to want to hear this, is that more than likely you are not going to get the universal, I would say 8.5 to 10s. You're not going to get those unless you're paying for them. It's not going to happen. Accept that reality now. Everything below that, it's possible. But those 8, 9s, and 10s, the ones you see on your Instagram reels that's saying, oh, we don't say daddy, we say papacito and all this stuff. Those are all just women that are marketing themselves, to try to get more suitors, or they're trying to market their OnlyFans or whatever it is. Those type of women, the real beautiful Colombian girls that the content may come across your feed every now and then. It's extremely hard to get those type of girls because they have so many options and they're super monetized. But to answer the question, if you were a scrub in the States, and other YouTubers have probably said this as well, if you were a scrub in the States or wherever you're from, you're going to be a scrub here too. You being a foreigner may get you like one extra attraction point, but if you're here in Medellin where there's a lot of foreigners, you having a blue passport doesn't really mean that much anymore as it may have back in the day. So no, you have to still have charm, charisma. You have to like, you don't necessarily have to speak fluent Spanish, but some, and a part of it is they want to see that you're making the effort. Is the biggest thing, is that you're making an effort to speak Spanish, that you're not just solely on a translator. And when you go into a Parque Jettis, that's all you see is just back and forth of passing the phone. And I was telling a Spanish teacher this, is that you already have, misunderstandings and miscommunication when you speak the same language. It's even more when you come here and you don't speak the same language. And there's one thing also too that you don't hear, or a lot of people don't really talk about, is that your game, all that riz and stuff you got in your native language, that is all gone once you get here and you don't speak Spanish, because you're speaking like a toddler. You can't think of how to say what you really want to say. Some of your jokes aren't going to translate properly. So pretty much most of your game is gone, once you get here and you don't really speak. Now, some things will, like you can use a translator and some jokes and stuff will still hit, but it's not the same as if, like you can pull up to a girl and just say what's on your mind, and you don't have to overthink it and, be struggling on, what you want to say. So, but yeah, no, you definitely need to still be at the top of your game, because once you get here, you're now competing with the local market, of the rich Colombians, the attractive Colombian guys, and they already speak the language and they know the culture.
Got it. So let me say this. Let's just say a guy that's maybe between 30 and 40, and he's not a Pookie, Ray Ray, or Thuggo. He's more of a Marvin, Michael, Maxwell type of dude. How does he meet a Colombian woman that's maybe middle to upper class? So not a barrio girl, but someone that has a working profession, not the SEX profession, teacher, doctor, lawyer, something around that realms.
So, real quick, I want to say, if you keep that comment up, I want to address that. But
go ahead. Sure. Address it.
To answer your question, one of the best places you can meet like normal girls that have profession is just talk to women while they're at work. Now, those are going to be a lot of the average women, so they're not going to be the girls that are super, super attractive. Like, for example, if you walk in a mall and you walk in any store, at least to me, I don't consider most of the girls that are working in a mall a 10. The girls you see in the gym, yeah, those girls will be like your 9s and your 10s, but you don't see those type of girls just working at the Frisbee or working at, most of the normal places you're going to walk into. I would say also, you can do this. You can go to a local university if you're going to be staying here for a good extended period of time. Go to one of the local universities and take a Spanish class at a university, not at like some little school or something like that where other foreigners are going. Go to an actual, university and take a Spanish class there. You have a lot of upper class, at least this is what I'm about to start doing as well, is you have a lot of upper class Colombians there that can afford to pay to go to that university. You look in the parking lot, there's a lot of cars, like nice cars as well. Like, you can meet actually quality women if you go to like a university, but the biggest part is going to be social circle.
Nice.
Part of the culture here. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So dive into social circle, because that was my next question, but go ahead.
That's just generally the culture here, is meeting girls through friends or meeting people through friends. So it can be a little hard trying to make friends that are Colombian if your Spanish ain't that great. Trust me, I've tried, but it definitely is possible. Or if you know other foreigners, like for example, I have a foreigner friend, he speaks Spanish and English, but he'll go out with his girlfriend and their friends, and he'll be like, "Hey, we're going out today. Come out and see if maybe you like some of her friends," or something like that.
Nice.
It's kind of like this. It's kind of like the seal of approval. If a friend is recommend another friend, they can say, "Okay, well, I know this guy is like normal, cool. He's not just looking for sex or something like that."
So, what has been your experience having those type of setups, basically, where a local or a digital nomad who has a girlfriend, and they're saying, "Hey, we're having my friend's birthday party and we would like to invite you. She has a lot of friends." How has that been for you?
Definitely a lot better. I would say, we'll put it this way. The simple thing is if anyone's in sales, you have, a warm market and a cold market, or warm leads and cold leads. You going out cold approaching and trying to meet girls on your own through the apps and everything, those are your cold leads. You meeting him through a friend, it's a warm lead, so you're already kind of like 1 foot in the door. Not that it's just a lot more easier. It's just, you're a little bit, I would say, 1 step closer, basically, to being able to possibly get it, versus, you're out there just working cold leads. A lot of it ends up to no sales.
Got it. Okay. That makes sense. Now, have you ventured to other places in Colombia and dated the girls there? And how would you compare that to Medellin?
So I haven't really I would say gave it a fair chance. So I've been to Cali, I've been to Bogota, and I've been to San Andreas. Those are the three places I've been this year. I'm supposed to go to Pereira, Manizales, Barranquilla, Santa Marta, and some other like smaller pueblos as well, which I hear there is where you actually clean up more and where you're going to find, more normal girls in the smaller
Mm-hmm.
pueblos versus, in a major city. But the week I did spend in Bogota, I did go on a couple of dates there, which I do believe you can still find beautiful women. And I hate the fact that everyone tries to put that so much of an emphasis on Medellin, and that, oh, if you want to find the best looking women in Colombia, you have to go to Medellin. Which, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of beautiful women here. And as we had this conversation before, there's
Mm-hmm.
what's here called a lot of hypothetical options. It's a lot of women you see that you're like, oh, I could be dating her. I could be smashing that. I could be smashing this. But realistically, those women aren't even a possibility or even an option, because they may be married, they may be gay, you may not even be their type, but you're going to see a lot of hypothetical options here in Medellin. But I saw a lot of beautiful women in Bogota, in Cali,
Mm-hmm.
in San Andreas, although there is a little bit more touristy. So you're going to see a lot more couples there. But some of the women that live there, they were attractive as well. So you can find genuinely beautiful women in other parts of Colombia as well, not just only uh, um, Medellin.
Okay. So, two questions here. First one, what has been like your longest relationship in Colombia? And then the second question would be the dating experience in Bogota, because I believe Bogota is the capital
Yeah, it is.
and it's more people there, but yet there's no content talking about Bogota or dating in Bogota at all.
So Bogota, yeah, it's the capital. It's essentially like the New York of Colombia, of Colombia. The population there is somewhere around 11 to 12 million people. And here in
Mm-hmm.
Medellin, it's somewhere between 4 to 5 million people. So major difference, huge difference. Um, but definitely in Bogota, you are going to you will find more women who are, I would say, a little bit more educated. You would find more women that do speak English, because a lot more women are going to universities and studying. So yeah, you definitely find that there. Women were just as affectionate and, loving and stuff like they are here. They're not as much as, verbally affectionate as they are here, I would say, but still affectionate, because here you're going to get a lot more of the amor, cariño, stuff like that, getting called more of the sweet words, we'll say that, than
Uh-huh.
you will, like, if you, and there's one thing actually, I'll touch on that real quick. Is one thing I actually don't like about here, because if they're calling you amor and baby and all this stuff, they're doing it with everybody else too. So it's not like it's nothing unique about it. But in Bogota, like within the first like couple of dates, they're not, calling you that. And it almost can be a little bit, I would say, it's a little different when you get used to it. You're like, damn, is this girl not really feeling me? Because they're not, like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
amor, how are you and whatever. So, but yeah, it's positive experience there as well.
Okay. And the longest relationship, more or less, that you've been with a
So
Colombian
I haven't
girl?
really had any relationships. The 1 year I've been here, I've been single,
Mm-hmm.
and I would say if you're the type of guy who just isn't going to accept anything, you don't deal with disrespect. And what I mean
Mm-hmm.
by anything is like, or disrespect, like for example, Colombian women tend to be late to everything. Is one of the cons here. And for me, if I'm planning a date and the girl shows up an hour late, for me, that's disrespectful, not only to me, but to my time, because I know that that same girl is not going to go show up an hour late to work. So she can
Mm-hmm.
manage to be on time to get to work. But for our date, she's or always whenever you set up a date, she's an hour and a half late, or whatever it is. So it's little things like that, or asking for money, or just little things that I may find disrespect for, that I don't want to tolerate. Or it may be little things that I look for, like, when she comes over, if there's dishes in the sink, will she clean the dishes? Does she make the bed? Does she do little things that I'm looking for a long-term partner? And some women, they don't do that. So I would say it's just been more of a filtering process for me.
Got it.
So
meeting the girls is not the issue. It's the filtering process for a long-time partner.
that's
Kind
what
of going back, right? Kind of going back to the original question, your preference. So when it comes to something long-term, kids, no kids, are you willing to do you want a wife that stays at home or she works as well? Explain that really quick.
So for me, ideally, I would like a woman who doesn't have kids, at least for something serious. So already that
Okay.
pretty much eliminates 80% of the market for me, because here in Colombia, 80% of women are single moms. It just, unfortunately, it is what it is. So, that only leaves about 20%. And now that 20%, some are, married, some may be lesbian, whatever it may be. So it makes that 20% maybe drop down to 10 or whatever it is, even smaller. So yeah, it's definitely a difficult dating market. As far as preferences, I ideally, and I know, like, as the culture here is, men are generally the providers, but I would like a woman to work. I don't want a woman who just stays at home all day. Even if she contributes something, like for me, you can buy some toilet paper, you can buy a bar of soap, you can buy, a couple of things, whatever, as long as you're contributing something to the household, because hey, you live here too. Even if you lived at your mom's house, you still got to pay for stuff there. So I do expect a woman to contribute a little bit. Now, am I going to do 98% of the other things? Of course, but I at least want a woman that is going to contribute 2%, something. And here, I will, just to touch on something as well really quick, it's a way that women here actually genuinely care about you, and they're not just with you because you're a foreigner or you're a gringo, is if they actually will spend their money on you. Being that, someone else left a comment that women here don't really make that much money, or people here don't really make that much money. So if, with them making little money, if they decide to spend it on you in any way, whether it's a small bracelet or a teddy bear, whatever it is, whatever they're trying to do for you, that's when they're actually genuinely interested. Versus it's just, like, for example, right, for my birthday, the girl I was dating at the time, this year and last year, because I've been I came for my birthday last year before I moved here, and ended up going to the Romeo Santos concert. But the girl that I was dating at the time, we went out to dinner. Like, it would be a normal thing that a girl would at least, like, take you out to dinner, pay for it, like, on your birthday. Maybe she won't pay for all the other dinners, but on your birthday, yeah, definitely they would set something up, or, do something for you. And, she didn't even do that. Like, I still paid for everything on my birthday. Like,
oh man,
it was just like a normal date. Like, I didn't get
cut.
Exactly. I didn't get a gift. Well, actually, no, she did buy me some. She bought me like a little skincare little set or whatever. But I still ended up paying for, like, everything on my dinner. Now, I will say this, like, if you pick the place, and obviously if you pick some high-end restaurant here, yeah, of course you're going to end up being the one paying for it because it's an expensive restaurant. But if you let them, like, pick or set something up, then yeah, they should be generally the one that should be paying for it. But that's a huge sign of if women are genuinely interested in you, as if they actually, I would say invest back into you.
Exactly. Now, have you ever dealt with, like, jealousy from certain women out there in Medellin or in Colombia in general? Like, do they want to be your girlfriend right away from
so generally
a couple of dates? Go ahead.
So generally with that, I would say you have about 3 months.
Ooh,
Within that 3
okay.
months, they're usually looking for some type of commitment. They're not really trying to go too much, longer than that. Like if you going past 3 months, they're probably gonna be like, yeah, this guy ain't really, really that serious about me. So yeah, as far as jealousy, there was one girl I was actually dating, and she did marketing, and she was doing marketing for some event where she had me come and do photography with the models there. And these
Hmm.
girls are genuine, what I would consider tens. Because they're
Hmm.
on a runway, they're working with brands as far as to model the clothing. Um, so one of the girls who also was like taking photos, I think she worked with the modeling agency or something like that. Um, she was trying to ask me something about my camera. And I was like, oh, well, you can ask her. And she basically was asking the girl, like, and this girl I was dating at the time, she was like, oh, well, what kind of camera does he have or whatever? And this part I understood. She was like, basically, like, you have a camera in your hand. Why does it matter what type of camera he has? Basically, like, went on about her, and she was like, well, can I get his number to get the photos that he took? And she was like, no, you can take my number, essentially. So like I've seen a little bit of it,
Mm.
like there. But I would say going through the filtering process, I haven't really dated a girl long enough to actually really, really experience it. I've seen everybody else experience it, but I haven't.
So, what I get from you is that you're willing to wait for delayed gratification because it seems like a lot of guys that go down there, there's a lot of red flags. Either she's undercover working, single mom, the behavior, she's unfeminine, but they'll still deal with her because she's very attractive. In your situation, you're saying, hey, she can be beautiful, but if she doesn't meet my requirements for something to date long term, I'm not even putting the effort in. Is that correct?
So I still will deal with women out here, but it's purely just bedroom fun. Like
Okay.
I know that it's not going to be anything long term, and you know, um, for the long term one, yeah, is that screening process is taking much longer. But it's things that like I said, it's things I'm looking for. Like, do they not ask me for money, or ask me for
Mhm.
anything, or are they not doing what a lot of Colombian women do here, and they may not directly ask you, but they'll suggest or they'll just bring it up, and they're hoping that you will be like, oh, okay, I'll step up and take care of it. For example, like, oh, I didn't eat today because I don't really have, food at home or whatever. And they're, like I said, they're prideful. They're not going to be like, hey, I need money for something. They're just going to throw little things out there like that and expect you to, be like, oh man, let me buy you some groceries or whatever, whatever it is. So,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
yeah, it's the red
And
flags.
kind of touching on that, have do you think the simps have really made it bad
Yeah,
there in
100%.
Medellin? And if you
100%.
can elaborate on that really quick.
So, in the year that I've been dating here, I've met some girls who, um, are normal, who have all the surgeries, who are webcam models, who aren't, just through different acquaintances and stuff. I've met girls who work, but they're just cool girls. Like if they go and hang out, if they're in part of a group of friends, but that they work, like they're cool people to be around or whatever. Um,
Mhm.
I've heard that girls are getting sent, money, and they've never met guys before. And I would say, I think Paris has to have the most amount of simps in it, because if you are on dating apps here, you almost every girl has a picture of a fucking Eiffel Tower in the background. Like almost every girl. I'm like, who is paying for all these girls to go to France? Or who's paying for all
Uh-huh.
these girls to go to Paris? Because so many girls here on their social media or in the dating apps, you see the Eiffel Tower in the background. So, but yeah, no, simping is definitely a huge thing here in Medellin, not just Medellin, but Colombia in general. And it's a lot of guys that are leading with their wallet. Even the guys that come out here just short term because everything is so
Mm-hmm.
cheap for us that it's like, oh, okay, whatever. I'll instead of going for something like an ice cream date or a coffee, they're like, oh no, I got to take you out and do the most extravagant stuff. When the local market,
Mm-hmm.
the local guys ain't doing that. They're not taking women to Mamba Negra or something like that. And if you don't know what Mamba Negra is, it's a really really high end restaurant here. Food is average at best, but the prices are super high. It has one of the best views in Medellin, but it's a kind of like a flex to have a pitcher, eating there or being there basically.
Got
So,
it.
but it's
Shifting gears here a little bit. When you Google search or YouTube or TikTok, you're kind of seeing the nightlife and parqueadas. Are
Mhm.
there places where it's a little bit more upscale, where you have to wear a collared shirt, dress code, and the women are absolutely stunning and they're not working, they're local girls?
So, dressing up is not really part of the culture here, at least in Medellin. Um, Almost
Okay.
every club you go to, and I've been to what would be considered the high end one. So, for example, you have one on La Sentencia. It's called, I believe, Dulcinea or Dulcineta. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong.
Dusalina, yes. I
It's
long story short, and I won't get in too deep, but I basically told a content creator, well, if you have game or Riz, go in there. That, because I've shown that club several times on my live stream.
Mhm.
And let's see you pick up the local women there. Obviously the person didn't want to do it. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. But what was your experience there at that
So
place?
so there that club is owned by foreigners, and that club is
Mm,
even considered super expensive by Colombian standards by far. Like, you go in
okay.
there, you have to get a couple of bottles, you're gonna spend like almost $500, which normally
Woo!
normally you can go, on the higher end,
Right.
like if
Okay.
you're trying to get one of the VIP sections or whatever, you can still go in there and buy aguardiente or something like that and be at like one
Right.
of the little like um regular tables, not like a booth or something. But um yeah, you're gonna see a lot of I mean, don't get me wrong, there may be a working girl in there mixed in or two, because
Mm-hmm.
what tends to happen is you'll get some kind of concierge that will arrange girls for some foreigners, and they're like, we want to go to the best club here, so that guy's going to take them, with the girls that they bought for them to the club. But it's
Mm-hmm.
just such a small percentage. The majority is going to be normal girls. Yeah, you're going to
Okay.
see some of the baddest women in there. But here's a big thing about Colombian culture is that it's not like it is in the States or Australia or maybe even Mexico or something, where you can go to clubs and meet single girls in the club, because everyone goes out in groups here, and generally guys are the ones
Mm-hmm.
that pay for stuff. So women are usually in groups with guys, and it doesn't mean that some of
Oh.
the guys are their boyfriends. It could just be friends or whatever. But it's, I would say, 80% of the time or 90% of the time, you're going to have mixed groups. So the guy that you were sending to Ducineta or whatever it's called to
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
pick up a girl
Yeah.
there, you were pretty much setting them up for failure, because everyone's going to be in groups, and it's not that easy to just penetrate a group. Definitely if you're not with other girls. If you're with
Ah.
other girls, it's not as hard, because the girls can kind of mingle with the girls, and then you can kind of finesse your way in
Mm-hmm.
with their group. If you're close, like the next table, one of the next tables over, close to you. But all the bad ones you see popping up on like Instagram whenever they're at that club or
Mm-hmm.
at their IG page, and all the highlights they have of the baddest ones. Yeah, it's a lot of those girls in there, but that's not the entire club. It's like one or two tables, but it's a lot of average girls in there. It's a good amount of
Okay.
them in there, but it's not the entire club. But in general, just the culture here, this isn't a place you're going to come and be able to like go out with just three guys to a club and expect to meet girls out in the club. Is it possible? Have some guys done it? More than likely, but it's not going to be the majority.
I see. So Really quick, what did you go with friends to that club, or what was like your experience there?
Yeah, so I've gone twice.
Hmm.
Amazing club, highly recommended. Like I said, it is a little bit more on the expensive side, but good club. It's on par with like an American club, or
Hmm.
I would say like a club in Vegas. Like they spend a lot of money on that club as far as not only for just shows, the lighting. It
Right.
is considered a little bit more upscale. Like I said, you're not going to find a lot of people with button up shirts and dress shoes and
Okay.
stuff like that, because that's just generally not Colombian culture as well. Women here
Okay.
don't really dress up as far as like heels. They may have, and it's
Mm.
annoying sometimes. You'll see girls with a nice dress and they got on tennis shoes, but here they dress more for comfort
Oh my
than they
gosh.
do. They dress more for comfort here than they do for, looks and sex appeal, which is crazy because it's a city, or, that's more revolved around like being superficial as far as looks wise. And, not everyone will wear heels. They're wearing tennis shoes, or jeans and tennis shoes. Still will look good, but, they're
Uh-huh.
not all super dressed up. But, yeah, good club to
Your
go to.
experience there? Hmm.
Yeah, good experience. Like I said, it's a little bit more on the expensive side for Colombia, but definitely good spot to go to.
Okay, so what would be your typical place? Like more of a lounge or a local bar?
So for me, I don't really go out that often. I dance bachata, and this is going into a
Nice.
whole another I would say
Sure. Go
segment of it.
ahead.
But
Hmm.
I like to dance bachata. So I typically will try to meet girls through bachata or through salsa or some type of like social group or something like that. Like I just recently joined like a photography group. So yeah, of course, in those type of things. I mean, at bachata, every now and then you do see some really bad ones, but in like a photography group, you're not going to find the girls who are look like they should be doing OnlyFans or webcam modeling
Mm.
or something that is purely based on looks, but you're going to find more genuine, down to earth, like girls who have good personalities and that are normal in those type of social groups or settings. Or you join us, not necessarily a spin class, but something along the lines of that, where you're seeing people on a regular basis, and then they can say, oh, okay,
Hmm.
well, I've seen this guy's face a few times. It's not just some random guy. It's like, oh, same thing for the gym. If I go to the gym now, I've kind of got a different approach. I'll say what's up to people or say hi a few times before I'd be like, hey, you seem cool. We should, go out for coffee or something like that.
Got it. Got it. Now, this is a very important question. Should guys go to Medellin solo, in your opinion? Yes or no?
Depends on how long they're going to be here. And depends on what they're coming here for. If you're coming here strictly for women and you're here for a short period of time, yeah, it's possible you can. It's just certain rules I would recommend you follow, and you
Okay.
don't
And
you
and
don't
I'm
make.
talking for safety aspect because there you got to be very careful. um if you're from a certain environment, but you can feel it, at least I can feel it, where okay, it's dangerous, it could be dangerous, somebody's watching me, let me not have my phone out, let me pay close attention to what I'm doing, therefore I don't bring any attention, let me not wear the jewelry or watches or anything like
Okay,
that.
so let me ask you this: what areas have you been here that you felt that way?
Well, for me, it was obviously Poblado. I felt safe.
Mhm.
Central was a little sketchy, and then I went to Bayo to go eat, and
Okay, so
that's
those
kind
two
of.
places,
Mhm.
huge no. El
Okay.
Centro is not as dangerous as people make it out to be. I actually think that's actually not a bad a bad place. This might be controversial to say, but I don't think El Centro is a bad place to actually meet girls as well, because
Okay.
you're getting people that are coming from all different barrios, all different cities, that are going to El Centro to buy stuff. And one thing you have to understand about El Centro is that there is a lot of vendors there. You get
Mhm.
stuff way cheaper, clothes, um, materials, fabric, everything. It's almost like all the districts in the one, like flower district, material district, construction district, whatever. Like everything is in El
Mm-hmm.
Centro. So a lot of people have to go to El Centro to get different things. And they go there also just to get things cheaper, like I said, like clothes, shoes,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So are there some sketchy looking people down there? Yeah, but I go to El Centro all the time and I don't never feel unsafe. Like, yeah, I may
Okay.
pull my phone out for a couple of seconds, use it, and then throw it back in my pocket. But, overall, I don't feel like, someone's going to stab me or rob me or try to rob me or anything like that. You just walk
Okay.
around, you do whatever you need to do. And I'm talking to people, trying to buy stuff in my broken Spanish, sounding like a gringo. And, like some people may look and like, oh, that's a different accent, but you're going to find way less foreigners down there because
Right.
there's that stigma. Or you may have some YouTubers that have made videos about El Centro, but they're going to specific parts that are where all the crackheads are or whatever, all the drug addicts are. They're not showing you
Mhm.
like the market part of like where you can go to buy like clothes or all the little stores
Socks.
and stuff that yeah,
Mhm.
exactly, socks,
T-shirts.
baby
Mhm.
food, everything is in down in El Centro.
And you can get your hair cut really cheap over there in Central, by the way,
Mhm.
too.
And then, let's just say also for the pay to play guys, if you go to El Centro, that's there too. And it's way cheaper, way, way cheaper than what you would be, the commercial prices you would be paying if you're over in Parque Jettas. But also,
Well, what about this place, Plaza
Botero.
Montero?
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
Montero. Shout out to Josh, by the way. He's another YouTuber as
yeah.
well.
So Plaza Botero is
Y'all,
in El
y'all,
Centro.
y'all both light skin, by the way. Team light skin.
Plaza Botero is in El Centro. That's usually like
Mhm.
if you want to go to El Centro, you would put Plaza Botero in your Uber, and that'll basically take you right to the center. It's a huge museum, a lot of
Mhm.
statues there that a lot of people take pictures and videos with. That's from a famous Colombian artist who basically did a lot of paintings of that, but also made a lot of sculptures and then basically gave them to the city of Medellin. So those are all outside of Plaza Botero. But in that area,
Okay.
if you kind of start walking around in that general area, you're going to see a lot of the vendors, a lot of the places they're selling jeans and shoes and all that stuff. So yeah, generally El Centro and that general area by Plaza Botero, you're going to find it's like you said, super safe.
Okay.
That's generally the area I kind of go around in, or I'll venture a little bit outside of it, but not too much.
Mm. Shifting
Oh,
gears here
sorry,
really
real quick,
quick.
real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
So
Go ahead.
Bejo, what you were talking about, there's only one place
Yeah.
that I go in Bejo, and that's to Fabricado. It's a mall. So if you've been to Medellin before, you'll know about Santa Fe, you'll know about El Tesoro, you'll know about
Mhm.
Mallorca, and you'll probably know about Viva Envigado. In general, Medellin is very huge on malls. You still have uh, Arcadia, which is another mall that's kind of close to like Lorella / Berlin, not too far from there. It's kind of closer towards the airport. And then the next big mall you'll have is new, and that's in Bejo, and it's called Fabricado. I'll go there in
Mhm.
Bejo, but not too much further outside of Bejo because I don't know Bejo that well. But
Okay.
there it can be a little dangerous. But I have met some foreigners who have Airbnbs in Bejo and they love it because it's another thing here.
Whew.
For some reason, some of the baddest women all come from the north. Like they all come
Oh,
from Bejo. Like you're like, oh, where are you from? Oh, I live in Bejo. You're like, damn, man. Like some of the baddest
right.
women, they live in Bejo. It's just because it's much further north. It's a lot cheaper to live up
Mhm.
there. So, yeah, it's
Okay.
I would say, or I recommend Fabricado Mall. You can go there, but I wouldn't go too much further outside of it. But as far as touching on real quick, as far as jewelry, I think
Mhm.
there's only really like 3 places that are safe to wear jewelry, and I've based this off of how I see the Colombians move. So it's
Okay.
either you're wearing it in a gym, you're wearing
Mm.
it in a restaurant, or you're wearing it in a mall. This is the only 3 places I would wear jewelry. And if you're, like wearing like a little rope gold chain or something like that, you would have it tucked in under your shirt. And that's it. But generally, those are the only three places I would wear. I would wear jewelry: is mall, restaurant, and gym.
Got it. Got it. Very good tips. Make sure you guys sub to Passport Graffiti's channel. Get this brother monetized. He is dropping some really good gems tonight. I appreciate you coming through. I got a couple of more questions and then we'll do final closing thoughts.
For sure.
Now, recently you went to Brazil. How would you compare that dating experience to Colombia? Was it better or worse? Totally two different elements. Would you recommend guys going to date in Brazil?
So I went to Brazil, and I went to Rio de Janeiro. I was only there a week, and I actually went for a bachata festival. So majority of my time was, at least for like 4 days of that 7-day trip, was dedicated to that. So I will say in general, a week is not enough time. So if you plan on going to Rio for a short, I would say, a week or less, is definitely not a good enough amount of time to actually really get a genuinely good dating experience. Now, what I did see is that code approach, a lot more success in general with just that. There's a lot more opportunities for code approach because there's just girls that are walking to the beach or walking from the beach or going to different shops and stuff by themselves. Like, girls move a lot more solo versus here. Girls are usually in groups or with a family. You will find some girls who are out by themselves, but in general, girls are like paired with someone else, so it can make sometimes code approach a little bit harder if you don't want to, kind of talk and deal with both, more than one person than just the girl by herself. I will say Rio is a much better city than Medellin, as far as
really,
there's a lot more to do. It's much bigger. It's a lot more beautiful than Medellin. Like, you just have a mixture of mountains, you have the urban, and then you have the beach as well.
Right.
And I would say that Rio has a beach culture that's probably like unmatched by anywhere I've ever been. And this is my second time going back to Rio, because I once was there in 2013. I was there for 3 months, and then I was there again, now. And the difference between now and then is this: now I'm older, got more experience, and got more money to actually be able to do things there versus, I was much younger and didn't really know as much when I first went to Rio back in 2013. And that was my first time traveling abroad in my first, international city or international country. So I say there's much more to do there. It's bigger. I will say that I want to say Colombian. I felt just in the week I was there that in Medellin, I've seen much more better looking women on average. I'm only going to say on average than I did in Rio. But I'm going to say this, that I've seen a lot more natural looking women in Rio. And then also too, it's a diversity thing. You get all different shades and colors of skin, eyes, like different combinations of things in Rio that you don't get here in Medellin. So for me specifically, like, I love Latinas and I love the Latina look, so I don't ever get bored of it. But if you're someone that likes variety or you like the diversity, Medellin definitely wouldn't be for you. Brazil or Rio would definitely be much better. The other thing is, Portuguese is a really hard language to learn. And
yeah, it is.
Realistically, if you plan on like trying to learn Portuguese, and you ask yourself this question: how often are you going to use Portuguese? There's only 2 countries that you're going to use.
Portugal and Brazil.
That's it. You learn Spanish, you got Mexico, you got Argentina, you got Peru, you got Spain. You have so many more places that you can go and actually use Spanish than you would Portuguese. So this was another thing for me why, Brazil is just not the biggest thing for me. And Portuguese is a difficult language. Like, I thought, or, I'm still struggling to learn Spanish still.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm right there.
Spanish is a difficult language. Portuguese is 10 times harder, like way harder.
So, getting into final closing thoughts, what can we expect from your channel? Are you going to be taking any trips, more videos, vlogs, potentially live streaming? Because I mean, man, I got about 60 people watching you, man. They
So in
you
general,
know, they enjoy your talking points in regards to dating. Go ahead.
So in general, my content mainly is about Medellin, and when I do travel, I do travel quite a lot. Last year, I think I maybe traveled once a month last year. Medellin is home base for me. I love it here. I'm actually getting ready to buy a car here, so I plan on being in Medellin long term. But I do plan on visiting other places here in Colombia as well. And the places that I visit, I plan on just comparing those to Medellin and kind of helping brothers out to, kind of have a good compare and contrast and actually have someone with boots on the ground here in Medellin in case they have, it's information that they want to know in it. And I do cover a lot more than just dating and pros and cons, I'm going to put out a video soon, a cost of living, at least for me, as far as like what I spend per month on the place that I live, Ubers, food, what what you can expect to pay to going out on restaurants and different things like that. But that's mainly going to be the content. I plan to do some live streams as well, and definitely talk more about just in general life here in Medellin and different things that are going on here.
Okay, awesome. Well, that being said, final closing thoughts. What do you have to say to the audience before we rock out of here?
I just want to say, man, I appreciate everybody that tuned in tonight. I appreciate you having me as well. I know a lot of people here are probably fellow travelers as well. So, or even if there are some people that haven't been to Medellin yet, I do like to say, man, don't let other people's opinions definitely influence you for, potentially not coming here. Come to Medellin, man, experience it yourself and make your own judgment or your own call about it. The experience is unique to everyone that comes here. It's the same way as dating. My experience as a 40-year-old, mixed race black guy is not going to be the same as, someone else's. So come here and form your own opinions.
Okay, cool. Let me give my final closing thoughts. Thank you guys for tuning in. This was a really good interview. Thoughtful, educated brother that's giving you the real 411. It seemed like a lot of you guys love to go to Medellin, Colombia, but cool. I got another guest coming through next week. Make sure you subscribe to Passport Graffiti's channel. QB also has another vlog coming soon, so hit the like, notification, subscribe to the channel, and we are going to rock out. And we are officially